that we have original music here. I'm so excited. And I am excited about our commitment to freedom. So I invite you to take a deep breath because we are going for it. And we'll do our treatment for freedom together aloud. I speak my word for myself, my center, and all its members and friends. I know love as the only reality. I am created out of love. Love is what I am. I know this love as absolute freedom in every area of my life, the life of my center, and all who call it home. I know our center's mortgages are paid in full, and I claim for all of us financial freedom with all debts paid and cleared. I release any sense of struggle or wrongdoing. I live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. We experience freedom in every moment by always having more than enough money, vibrant health, and loving relationships. We are who we have come here to be. With hearts open wide, we see the world through the eyes of love. We are blessed, we are rich, and we are free. And so it is. And we practice our points of power. I always pay attention. I always tell the truth and tell it quickly. I always ask for what I want when I want it. I always take total responsibility for my experience. I always keep my agreements. Yes, and so it is. Holy moly, you hold yourself to that level of consciousness and things cannot help but shift. So today I want to talk about a life of service, living a life of service. This is Memorial Day. Memorial Day is when our country honors and recognizes those who have transitioned in their time of being in military service to this country. And as much as I do not like war, I honor the warrior archetype. I honor those people who say, I will put myself in harm's way for a greater good. I also believe that every one of us chooses when and how we leave this earth plane. So I won't say that these people made the greatest sacrifice, because I don't think that what most people call death or what we call transition is a sacrifice. I think it's a celebration into a greater good. If we were never born and cannot die, then how can we have that be the greatest sacrifice? So I'd just like to rework the languaging on this a little bit. There are times when we as a country have stood for peace, for human rights, and for a greater good. And I am very grateful that we had men and women who would stand up for that. I think we have done some wonderful things in this world. I think we have stopped genocides and halted things that were not for life and love. I think that maybe we could grow into a greater consciousness of peace. And that's where we hold that energy, that peace is a greater reality than war. But if we're going to live in a world like that, I'm glad that there are those of us who will put on that archetype and say, I will stand tall for the good of the whole. It was like Spock. The good of the many outweighs the good of the few. And so on this Memorial Day, I'm very grateful for those who say, I will live my life in service. I will give my life in service, whatever that service may be. And I don't think it's a coincidence, Sylvia, that John went to LA last week and your practitioner emeritus ceremony was supposed to happen last week. And instead it was today, because what you represent in 21 years of being a licensed religious science practitioner is living a life of service. And you may not know who these people called practitioners are. They come up in front and they say, I will treat for you, I will pray with you, you can come and see me, I will be there in consciousness and physically with you. You may not know that these are people who have committed to be available 24/7 for times when members of this community may find themselves in crisis. If there is, what is the rule, Amika? If there's blood or an ambulance siren, you can call, and even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, every practitioner that is licensed through this center will be awakened. That every practitioner has their phone on at night, and they will wake up and they will move into a clarity of consciousness that says God is all there is, that in the midst of chaos is peace, that in the midst of accident or illness is health and wholeness, and through it all, love is the only reality. And they will sit there with that while the ambulance comes, while something is happening. And we've had so many stories of people finally getting to the emergency room only to be told, we don't know why the ambulance brought you back, that the back is not broken, that you were brought in strapped to a stretcher, but 4 hours later you walked right out the door. They couldn't find anything wrong with you, that no one should have lived through that accident. And yet here you are without a scratch. We have people who have dedicated themselves not only for emergencies, but to be here on a daily basis and to say, I am here for you. If you have something that you're working on creating, you want the love of your life, you want a new business, you want to get a home, you want to have something show up in your life, I will work with you. And not only will I hold that in consciousness, but I'll talk to you. And I'll help you understand what may be blocking you a little bit in this process and how you can move beyond those belief systems that have kept you stuck. They'll come and they'll sit with you. They'll teach classes. They'll get on the phone with you. They'll be in service for your greater good. And in doing that, be in service for the greater good. Because there's no difference between one of us and all of us. And when we give ourselves in service to the greater good of the greater whole, then all of us reap the benefit of that. I think being a practitioner or any kind of a healer or ministry of any kind is such a gift that we give the world. And I like that the idea that we're giving it out to the world is not a one-way street. That whenever we give anything out, it comes back to us. And so the question that so many of us ask is, how may I serve? What can I do in this moment that will elevate the vibration, the energy, the consciousness? What can I give out into life right now? How can I see it differently? How can I calm the upset? How can I see the truth? How may I serve? How can my being in this situation make a better world? And, you know, we may not be able to change the world all at once. I think it was Mother Teresa said, you may not be able to help thousands, but if you can help one, help one. And by helping one, she changed the consciousness of how people make their transitions in a country, in India, where people were just put out with the trash. And she said, no, no one should die like that. No one should step out of this life like that. Let's bring them inside. Let's bathe them. Let's feed them. Let's love them on their way out. And if you can only do that with one person, then do it with one person. Because in Science of Mind, what we believe is that we have created this experience. We have put ourselves in this position. There are no accidents. There are no coincidences. We created this situation for us to show up in. How are we going to show up? Did we go through all of this to create this situation only for us to go down into the worst of us? Or to rise up into the best of us? How can I serve? How can I give? Not to become some kind of a doormat, but to be a powerful spiritual being. Because remember, as you give it out, it comes back. And so who really are you serving? If I serve you, I'm serving me. If I lift you up, I lift me up. And because we're all one, I lift all of us up. How can I serve? How can I live a life of service in every moment? Because there are no special circumstances. There are no more spiritual moments than others. Well, I'll serve at the Center for Spiritual Living on Sundays because that's my holy day. That's when I'm spiritual and cool, but the rest of the time, screw it. I'm out for number one. I'm going to watch out for me. I'm not going to let anybody take advantage of me, and I'm going to get what's mine. No. There are no special occasions. There are no special days. There's only an opportunity for us to lift ourselves, to lift others up, because we, take a deep breath, we put them there. We put them in our lives and gave ourselves an opportunity to rise up. And then the choice is always ours, kind of like standing at the end of the fire. Can I walk on this fire and not get burned? Yes! Oh. Now it's my choice. Now whether I want to or not, it's totally up to me. So when we create these experiences in our lives of someone honking their horn at us or pushing ahead of us in the line at the grocery, or a member of our biological family telling us how we're all going to hell in a handbasket, when we create those circumstances, it's about whether or not we are going to rise up or fall down. And even just setting the intention to rise up is enough. If we set our intention to rise up, we will rise up. We may not know how, but just making that choice. It's like if you've ever been to the fire walk and you choose to walk, often before you know it, you walked. And it's past tense. Sometimes it's very much not a conscious movement. Can I walk on this fire and not get burned? Yes. And then before you know it, you're on the other side. Oh my gosh. Wow, I walked on fire. Can I take this situation and somehow make it better? Not just for me, but for all of us. Not just for you, but for me, for all of us. Can I put out a little bit more love in my life? Can I be generous in this moment? Can I stand a little bit more on my trust and faith? Can I invite someone into my world? How can I serve? How can I live a life of service? Because I believe that the reason that we came to planet Earth was to be in service. It's like we're all bakers at this giant baking convention, and we've all got lots of different ingredients, and we're all so excited about making the best baked product ever, and we all come together, and one person's got the flour, one the sugar, and one the baking yeast or flour or soda or powder or whatever people use to bake. Somebody's got the spoon, and everybody's in their joy going, look, I've got raisins. Wow, I've got gluten-free stuff. Wow, look at that. Everybody is so excited. And then somehow we show up on planet Earth and we forget. And we think if I give, then I'm not going to get. Or, wow, it's Memorial Day. If I give too much, I may leave this planet. They're all dancing, making celestial whoopee in the heavens, wherever that is. I don't know what happens after we go, but I know something does. And I know from near-death experiences that they say the love makes it so desirous to keep on going. And then when they come back, it's a bit of a disappointment. So what are our fears saying to us? If I give you my spoon, then somehow I won't have anything. And yes, we're making a big bake out, but I got to hold on to my spoon. If I really go for it and give it all, I may lose it all. Well, someone said once that in order to gain it all, you have to lose it all. That the only life worth living is a life of service. That whenever you are in service, whatever you give out comes right back to you. And that we all signed up to come and make a better world, to evolve humanity into greater levels of love and joy, of peace and wholeness, and an awareness that we are all the divine. We are all spirit and form. We are beings of light and love. And when we come together and take every little opportunity to bring that forth, we have truly changed the world. I'm very grateful to all of the men and women who have stood for peace for our country. I am very grateful to all of the practitioners who serve this community and the thousands of practitioners around the world who stand for health and wholeness and love and joy. I'm very grateful for every being on this planet that is willing to put themselves out there for the greater good, to give a little bit more than they thought they could, to stretch a little bit farther than they thought they would go, to be generous even when they feel like being stingy, to open to love even when they're hurt and afraid. I'm very grateful that we come together to create a better world by living a life of service. And so it is.